Okay, so I'll just say a few words about meditation practice before we try it out in practice as usual. And one of the interesting things about meditation practice, or one of two sides of meditation practice, is that on the one hand you have what is often called the samatha aspect of meditation, which is calming you down, making you peaceful, right? And this is like watching the breath or just being in the present moment and all these kind of things. But meditation also has another side, and that is like the wisdom aspect, sometimes called vipassana, but in the suttas of the Buddha just called developing your perceptions, seeing the world in a certain way. And very often it's useful to bring these two aspects together in your meditation practice, because if you do the wisdom aspect in the right way, it actually leads to peace, right? And when it leads to peace, the samatha, the calming aspect of the meditation becomes more easy. So use the wisdom, and then you use the samatha, the calming technique, and the two actually go together very beautifully if you practice them in the right way. So, and the reason why the wisdom aspect makes you peaceful is because when you see the world in the right way, what you are doing, you are letting go as a consequence. Because wisdom really is understanding that there is nothing really worth holding on to out there. And when you release that, then you are releasing the craving, the desires with those things, and it draws the mind back into the present moment as a consequence. And one of the ways of doing this, and this is one of the things I was talking about a little bit during my talk yesterday, is to remember the impermanence of all phenomena, remember how things are always changing, how unreliable they are. Yesterday I was talking about the Buddhist teaching as such. The Buddhist teaching itself is very unreliable. It comes into the world, it stays there for a while, and it goes, right? You have meditation teachers, they come around for a while, like Ajahn Brahmali, and then suddenly one day they're gone, they disappeared. And everything in the world is of that nature. It is very uncertain, very unreliable. In fact, when you take this contemplation to its final consequence, what it means is that there is really nowhere to stand. There's no kind of ground or carpet or whatever you want that you can hold on to where you can stand. Always it's as if the carpet is being pulled out under your feet. And then you realize that holding on to that was dangerous because it leads to suffering if you hold on to those things. So this contemplation of the impermanence of all phenomena, how things always will change, anything that is dear and pleasing to you, the Buddhist religion, all of these things, they're always so unstable, so unreliable. And because of that, you realize that the only refuge really is really right here, right now, in the present moment. Don't rely on the future, don't rely on the past. Just come into the present moment and find peace in the here and now. This is where your refuge is. I was just mentioning to some people today at the mealtime, there was a beautiful simile that was given by Ajahn Chah, Ajahn Brahm's teacher in Thailand. And he had a simile of a glass, and he said, he held up a glass to the audience in front of him, and he said to the audience, "Can you see the crack in the glass?" And people looked at the glass very carefully. No, cannot see any crack. But Ajahn said, even though you cannot see the crack is already there. Why is that? Because this glass is fragile. One day it will break, one day it will fall apart. It's as if the crack is already there in a sense, because we know it is impermanent. And because of that, we care more for it for that reason. And in exactly the same way, we look at almost all phenomena in life have that same fragility about them. We don't know how big the crack is. We don't know when it's going to fall apart. And because of that, instead, you care for the present moment instead. And you care for the here and now. And you let go of all of those things. So that is just one way of using a little bit of wisdom, of the insight that the Buddha talked about. Use that to find a little bit of peace, to help you to let go, and then allowing the mind to come into the present moment. These are just tools that we can use. These are the tools you see the Buddha talking about all the time. And if you use them skillfully and you find the right trigger, hopefully it will make a difference in your meditation practice. Okay, so let's give it a shot and see what happens. So make sure at the beginning of the meditation that you always give yourself enough time to settle down and to relax and to find that ease in the body. Remember, the Buddhist teaching is the middle way. The middle way we're not searching for, we're trying to avoid any pain or discomfort. We're just trying to find that ease of the body, where the body kind of disappears. So take whatever time you need to find that ease before you do anything else. And just stay with your body for quite a while. Stay with the body to take it to a state of peace, a state of relaxation that is deeper than what you are used to. And to do that, make sure you have an attitude of being gentle and being kind with yourself. A gentle kindness. This is what allows you to relax because you feel at ease in your own company. And allow gradually, the body to become really completely 100% relaxed. And then you find the mind relaxes at the same time. And as you relax in this way, you can almost feel as if you are withdrawing from the world, withdrawing inside of yourself. You can see that mindfulness arises as if you're cutting the strings that hold you or attach you to the world. It's almost as if you become more passive, more observant. The world can no longer touch you in the same way. This is mindfulness arising here. And just stay with that. Just enjoy that sense of being the passive observer. Just watching the world go by. Nothing really touching you anymore. And just to boost your practice a little bit, just try to remind yourself of the fact that things in the world are so uncertain and so unreliable that you never know what's going to happen next. Now, right here, now, this is where you find that refuge from the uncertainty of the world. So enjoy this. You don't get any closer to the meaning of life than you do when you start to access the states of meditation. And if you find that you're becoming nice and easy, nice and relaxed, with the mind fairly stable in the present moment, that is usually the time to do something like watching the breath. So if you want to watch the breath, if you're ready for that, and all you have to do is just very gently wait for the breath to arrive at you. And when the breath arrives, then very gently rest your attention on the breath. Use no force, use no willpower. It's like a feather light touch of the attention on the breath. The breath may come and may disappear again, that's fine. But please do not use any willpower. We are now coming to the very end of this meditation. But before we come to the end, just please take a few moments just to reflect what has happened over the last 45 minutes or so. And just try to understand if you are more peaceful, if you are more at ease than you were to begin with. Why is that the case? What are the perceptions you have developed? What are the things that you have let go of? Yes, please. Yep. Very good. Thanks. Okay, so does anybody have any questions or comments or anything they want to say at all? Is everybody's happy? Anybody unhappy? Okay. Okay, good. So that's good. So let's see what we have from overseas, and if you can think of some questions as we do these ones, please do it after. We'll do it afterwards. So the first question is from Lauren in the USA. How can one use the teaching and meditation to relieve issues such as obsessive worrying, fear, etc., and to help deal with the helpless feeling of not being able to help others with their suffering? Thank you. So how do you deal with, first of all, obsessive worrying and fear? There is a number of ways of dealing with that. One of the ways, of course, is to understand that worry and fear are about a certain way of looking at the future. If you worry and you're fearful, you're looking at the future in a negative way. You're thinking, oh, something might go wrong in the future, and you're obsessive about all the things that may not work out in the future. So one way is just to remind yourself that, generally these things don't turn out that way. Generally, life in as a human being, usually the results are relatively good, sometimes bad, but often they're very good. So fantasize about all the good outcomes. Remind yourself of all the good outcomes, all the good possibilities that are, quite possibly may happen. And as you do that, you recondition your mind to see the positive outcomes rather than the negative outcomes, and then that way you can reduce the fear, at least on a temporary basis. But of course, the whole path of Buddhism is about reducing these things, right? So if you practice the path in the right way, do all the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, then you will actually find that over the months and over the years, gradually these things fade into the background. You have to be patient, right? There's no kind of magic bullet here that kind of will wipe it all away all at once. It's gradual, it takes time. But if you have the patience, if you have the perseverance, if you have the kind of the regular effort that is required, gradually these things fade into the background. It's a very wonderful thing when you see that's happening. What's happening here is that it's almost as if your personality is being changed, and you're gradually morphing into a new person, a different kind of person. So these are two ways of dealing with obsessive worrying and fear. Just remember all the positive outcomes. Do some metta meditation if you can. Look at the positive things in the world, and all of this will reinforce each other. The helpless feeling of not being able to help others with their suffering. So how do you deal with that? And I think one of the most important things that we do as human beings, rather than helping others through teaching them or whatever, is that often we help them through our example. It's who we are as humans that really has the most impact on other people. So if you develop those positive qualities in yourself, if you are able to let go of some of the suffering in your life, some of the fear, some of the worry, and move towards a more wholesome states of mind, and people see that in you, they see your change, very often it has a dramatic effect on them, because they start to realize that there's something there, and then they may come to you and inquire, what's going on? What's happening with you? Why are these things going? Why are you changing in this way? And then they may take on board the message or the practice that you have been using, and also follow in the same footsteps, do the same thing that you have been doing. And I have seen that in my own life, how changing myself has had a tremendous impact on certainly the people who are closest to me, or my family members, for example. Initially, they were horrified of me becoming a Buddhist monk, but now they, it's completely turned around. Now it's like they're basically Buddhists themselves. It's taken a long time, but gradually these things change, and you become an example for other people, and that, I think, is the most powerful thing. So don't expect that you will be able to help others. Often it cannot be done, but the best way is just to be the right example, and that often attracts the attention of other people as a consequence. Okay, so next one is from Carrie in the US, and the question is, how do you stop the wandering mind? Does it still wander after years of practice? Well, the thing is that practice varies from day to day, right? So one day it is bad, one day it is good, one day the wandering mind, one day you're sleepy, one day you're fantasizing, one day you feel quite peaceful. So these things vary all the time. But the general trend is towards one of a less wandering mind. The trend should be in that direction. You will still have days that are bad, days that are good, but the trend will be in that direction if you do it in the right way. Why does the mind wander? It's very simple. The reason why the mind wanders is because the mind is interested in that stuff of the wandering mind. It's interested in thinking about this and that, because it finds a degree of happiness there. So the trick in meditation is always to find the happiness somewhere else. Right? So this is what a lot of this is about. It's about building up positive perception inside of you. You come and do the meditation in your meditation group, wherever it is. You have a feeling for the good atmosphere. You feel a sense of contentment and happiness to be here, right? And when that happiness builds up inside of you, there is less likelihood that the mind will seek for happiness in thinking instead. It's all about the mind trying to find happiness somewhere. Tiredness is often the same thing. Tiredness is often an escape from suffering, right? Oh, I had enough of all of this, I just want to sleep, right? That's what tiredness often is. And so it's an escape from suffering is the same as a searching for happiness. It's just two sides of the same coin. So you gradually learn to find one of the really critical things about Buddhist meditation practice is to learn to find that joy and that contentment and that happiness inside of yourself. Find that source inside of yourself. And when you find that source, you find the mind becomes peaceful relatively quickly as a consequence. So that is a lot of what this is about. And that is why we keep precepts. That's why we encourage all these good things in life. Be generous, be kind, be compassionate, be understanding, be nice to other people. All of these things, they build up that happiness, that joy inside of you. Or they have that potential anyway if you do it in the right way. But you have to keep on persevering. Gradually, you change. You become a different person. And what a wonderful thing that is when you see that. Okay, last question. This is from Tim in Belgium. My legs keep getting numb when I sit in the normal meditation position. Afterwards, it's painful when I stand up again. This is not the disappearing of the body I hear about, I hope. Is this common? And what to do about it? Yes, it's very common, very, very common. People have numb legs, numb backs, numb whatever. Everything goes numb sometimes. And what you have to do is that find a posture for yourself that you can sit in for a long period of time, for half an hour, whatever it is, comfortably. You don't have to sit cross-legged. It's not necessary at all. Very much better often to sit on a chair. Or if you want to sit cross-legged, sometimes you can lean against something, right? Because that gives you a little bit more Leaning back means that the legs aren't as tight as they would otherwise be. So just find a posture for yourself. Use a couple of more cushions to sit up. Use a little bench. There's all these little things you can use. So do whatever works. Don't be afraid of experimenting with this. Some people like to do lying down meditation. That's a real meditation posture, right? It's not just some kind of. It's not a posture for sleeping. It's also for meditation because you relax, right? If you have mindfulness and you are relaxed, then lying down meditation works. For some people, it works really, really well, precisely because you relax. So try whatever works for you, and then you can use this ordinary cross-legged sitting position for a while. Then you can get up and you can sit on a chair, so you can move a bit back and forth between different postures. Don't have to sit in the same posture all the time, and then gradually you find that right balance. Don't allow yourself to feel too much pain in your meditation practice. In certain systems of meditation, they say that you should just stay with the pain. Personally, I wouldn't recommend that. I don't think that's what the Buddha taught, to be honest. The Buddha taught the middle way. Go away from pain, away from the torturing of the body, and find that place where the body is no longer important. If you have too much pain in the body will be important. The mind will go to that spot and will obsess about the pain. That's just the nature of the mind. So you want to find a place where the mind can be at ease and relaxed. Middle way, said the Buddha. So try to get out of that sort of posture where you have too much pain. Okay, that is all for today. So let's just pay respect to Buddha Dhamma Sangha.